excuse me, I'm good.
Just grabbing a quick bite.
Actually, it's like my dessert before my dinner because I just got home.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's good to see you all. Hi, Terry. Hi, Bev.
Hi, how's everybody?
Good. Yeah, it's springtime, and so it's so sunny out right now. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out there right now.
Absolutely.
Mm.
How are you doing, Terry?
I'm good, thank you. I still have trouble with the mute button. Every time I go to use it, I click on something else and all these other, my scanner comes up and all these other things that I just can't get to it. I need to have it right at the top somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I love your headscarf. That's a
Oh,
gorgeous color on you.
My hair's wet, so I didn't want to wear a towel.
Oh, nice. Well, hey, I never would have known. I just thought it was a fashion statement. Hi,
Thank
Gail.
you.
How are you?
Me?
Oh, Gail.
Oh, hi, Gail. Hi, Bev.
Hi, everybody.
Got a couple more people that are popping in. There we go.
There's Kim.
Lovely. Hi, Kim. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Nice hair, Bev.
Yeah,
Hi,
I'm
Cindy.
here. Just got up from my nap.
Afternoon naps rock.
You must
No.
have needed it.
Yeah, my neck was so bad I had to go lay down, so it's a little bit better now.
Oh, good.
I didn't
Can
expect
I-
to sleep.
Can I ask a question that's totally random, but it just came up on my mind? I live in I haven't lived in this place that I'm in at this time last year, and I have a lot of windows. Can you get a sun tan or burn from your windows, like through the windows? Because I get a lot of sun, and I just keep noticing my face is getting redder and redder.
Oh, well, I looked that up in connection to when my son was sitting in the front seat and we were taking like big trips because I wanted to know. And I don't think that you can get sunburned, but like the heat of the sun coming through the windows can like just heat up your skin.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but at home, your windows do not have the same coating as your car.
That's right.
So,
Okay.
and I have a friend who just posted where she had a little crystal and the light came through the window and started her thing on fire. So you have to, it's very powerful how much light can come through the window.
Oh my God, and I have two huge windows and crystals all the way across them.
Well, feel the wood on the window the next time and see if it's hot.
Yeah.
Well, it looked like
She
my
showed
sleep-
it and right away it started smoking. That's how fast it was. Yeah.
Yeah, crystal balls, don't keep
Mhm.
them in the sunlight anywhere.
No.
Just because like, especially the round shape can like be like a magnifying glass. So yeah, seriously, it's always good to take those and just like put them where the sun doesn't shine so that nothing can burn down.
I've heard that expression before.
I guess there's no such thing as coincidences, like we were saying the other night, because each day I thought it was allergies. I'm like, why am I getting so red? And I just went in and I'm like, I got stunned. Jeannie, you might have saved a fire in my condo. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I think everybody's all here, so we're gonna get started. Did anybody have any questions that came up from our journey to the underworld and all of the tests of life that came forward? No, felt pretty good.
I don't want to go there ever again. I'm good.
Yeah, that period of time is challenging because it's just like, like constantly like, being tested, right? Hangman comes up. Okay, I've got to like surrender, right? death card comes up. I mean, that's just like huge. It's like, it's heartbreaking. Like even like the test of like, you know, the cycles of like whether or not it's the right time or not with the Wheel of Fortune, right? And then when, of course, like, you know, the devil is like, you know, always a really big one, because we can get stuck in those traps of like materialism or so much comfort or addictions, right? And like addictions can come up in many forms. It's not just being like addicted to like a drug or like alcohol. We can become addicted to people. We can become addicted to different circumstances, right? And so what we're learning all about is how to release our attachment, right? And that's the beautiful part about coming into the tower, is that we are going to be liberated. We are going to be shaken from the shackles of the devil. And we are going to find a new sense of freedom to come forward. All right, so I'm just going to bring up the, oh, where did that go? No, it's, there we go. Okay, I'm just going to bring this up so that we can share screen, and then we'll move on to the presentation tonight. Lovely. And share. Beautiful. And present. Beautiful. It'll just take a moment to do its thing. Is anybody else feeling a little lower energy the last couple of days?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Because I had a couple of people that weren't able to make it tonight because they were just feeling a little bit, you know, feeling a little bit low. I find that this happens coming up to a full moon, right? Like, you know, it's like the emotions start to like weigh and they get heavier and heavier. So, you know, if you are feeling this, just know that this is like a good time just to rest. And like, thankfully, with the full moon, like peaking on Sunday, once that energy bursts, it's going to feel a lot better from there. So, awesome. So I'm just going to get to the right page here.
Thank you for enlightening us, because I thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah, you know, it's sometimes nice just to talk about things, especially when you start to see different patterns that come up. And that's just one that I was noticing. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So this is me flipping through all of these because I didn't start at the right place. So this is all the work that we've done so far. You know, we're coming around full circle, and this is the home stretch. So it's so wonderful to be able to complete this before the full moon cycle that comes forward. Awesome. Oh, wow. I just love tarot. It's so fascinating. And it's so interesting how each teacher and philosopher has really put their own spin on things throughout the years. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that tonight as well. So the tower to the world. So this is our return to the world. So within the devil, we last left off and we were in the underworld. We were meeting with Hades. We're meeting with the gods of hell. And then what happens is, if throughout this journey, is that the tower comes forward, and the tower is our liberation, because the tower comes forward and destroys those lies that we've built our life on. And so it can represent a lot of upheaval, especially if we've really liked some of those lies we built our life on. But thankfully, then we get to meet the star, and the star comes in to help us to be able to integrate all of this information that we've picked up and that we've learned and experienced through going through all of these tests. And the moon is, I see the moon as kind of like the exit place where we start to reemerge. But the moon is that place of the subconscious. And oftentimes within the subconscious, we get spoken to within dreams and intuition. So the moon can be really confusing, and we'll be talking about that as well. But then thankfully, the sun always rises again. So the sun comes back out to welcome us back into the physical world. And there's a sense of happiness and family and successes that are seen within this card. And then the judgment card. And this is our call to action. This is our call to rise again. This is the culmination of all of our experiences. The judgment card is that card where we get to see the result of our choices, for better or worse. And then finally, we see the world. And the world is just full circle. So it comes into a beautiful place of completion where we start to see the new path, right? So if you can imagine this as like, you know, as the Wizard of Oz, right? So the tower would probably be when like Dorothy picks up that bucket of water and throws it on the witch. And the witch is, I'm melting, right? And then she's like, oh, well, there's hope. Like, you know, we killed the witch, but then like, how do I get home, right? And then the sun card comes in. It's like, you've always had the power, my dear. All you have to do is say there's no place like home. And then suddenly she's back. And she's back within the physical realm with her new experience of being loving her family, loving the people that she's around, and that comes into that path of completion at the end. So the judgment card is kind of like the conclusion, and then the world is the and complete, and then perhaps even, you know, the next story that is starting up from there. And I think that there's a few more books in the Wizard of Oz series. Beautiful. Okay.
Did you say the world was where we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, at the world card, we've seen the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, we've seen the light. The light is shining bright, and we're like, okay, I'm back. And so it's so interesting how many different stories have this whole cycle of completion where we have to go out into the world. We have to like learn these lessons, and then we're able to come home and just love and appreciate what we had right at the beginning with the Fool. And that's so amazing about the journey of life. But in order to really experience that, we have to take on those challenges. We have to move out into the world. So the Tower card. So this is one of those feared cards that we talk about in pop culture, that people see this card and sometimes it can bring up a lot of feelings, right? Because it looks a little bit scary. So what are some of the symbols that pop out for you?
The tip crown.
Yeah,
Like
nobody escapes the tower, right? Even kings can't escape the tower.
Okay.
Lightning strike.
Lightning, yeah, that's like divine inspiration, right? And then we can also think about Zeus as well, within like Greek mythology. And of course, he was the guy with the lightning bolts, and like, you know, he would intervene. So this is divine intervention.
What are the little gold leaves or raindrops or whatever?
So those are called yods, and we're actually going to see quite a few of them that are going to be showing up, and they're another symbol of the divine, and they're actually related to to the Hebrew alphabet as well. And so remember within the Wheel of Fortune that we had, the Yod He Vav He. So it is one of those sacred symbols that comes forward, but it means just very simply just like divine, so divine energy that's there.
Flames.
Yeah, so things are burning. So, you know, with the flames burning, like, you know, it would be a representative of what elements?
Fire.
Yeah. And of course, where there's fire, there is action, right? So with this card, this is an action card. This means like things are happening, right? So this showed up for me about a month before the pandemic. This card was my stalker card. It was following me absolutely everywhere. And so it just means like, you know, a very sudden kind of upheaval, and very often it's unexpected as well. All right, so let's take a look at some of the meanings here. Lovely. So the key words, this is a sudden event. Oftentimes it's very unexpected. But I love this card because there is a sense of liberation that comes forward. The way I describe it is that with the tower, you know, our world gets rocked, right? But it gives us the opportunity to see which pieces weren't built on a solid foundation, right? So anything that isn't true and isn't imperative to us, it starts to fall away. So it is a beautiful card about exposure of truth, for better or worse, right? And like, you know, some of us like to live in like, you know, our bubble. And so when our bubble gets like cracked wide open, sometimes at first, you know, it feels like there's a part of us that's being destroyed. Right. And so it's just remembering that like we have the ability to be able to pick up those pieces, and it also creates the really solid foundation for us to be able to rebuild again. So not surprising, this card astrologically is related to Mars. Right. And if we think like Mars, we think the red planet. Have you guys been seeing some of the footage that's been coming back? It's amazing. Be sure to check it out because they've got like super high definition. And there's this just like so desolate. Like I imagine like how quiet it must be to be on that planet. So it kind of looks like Earth would look after a huge apocalypse. Right. And so it's so interesting to be able to see that energy of Mars that humans put to Mars like long before we even really were able to see the planet. So, yeah. So numerology, this is the number 7. And of course, the number 7 represents the mind, right? And so when we think about the mind, we also think about the ego, right?
Yeah.
So this card can talk about like, you know, our ego breaking a little bit too, right? And you know, so it is that like, you know, that idea of like what we're able to control, and then on the opposite end of that, but on the same spectrum, what we're not able to control, right? And like something like the pandemic, like, you know, individually, we're able to control it within our bubbles, but we're not able to control it out in the world, right? So it's that idea of control, and also the idea that we have no control and that sometimes like big things just come up and happen. So as this is energy moving out, right? This is masculine energy. So who here knows the story about the Tower of Babel? Has anybody heard about that? Like, you know, like in the Bible? So essentially, what it is that God told all the humans, because they were all gathered in one place, and he told the humans like, okay, you got to go out and you got to like spread out across the world, right? And you got to populate this place, right? And at this time, all of the humans spoke the same language. And they started to build this really amazing tower to be able to get closer to God. And so they were building this tower and they were all staying in the same place. So God got really pissed off. And so like, what did he do? He came in and he destroyed their tower, and he sent them all off and gave them different languages so they couldn't talk with each other anymore. And so they had to go out and they had to populate the earth. So yeah, the Old Testament, whew.
Hellfire and damnation.
Yeah, not my God, but still like relevant stories of our time. So it's that idea that comes forward like within the tower where like, you know, there's divine intervention that comes forward. Elizabeth.
I just wanted to say for me, what personally works best on maneuvering my way through the tower moments so elegantly is release, surrender, and let go. Because
Yeah.
like you can't fucking do anything about it. Creator wants to take it away from you and take that belief away. They're gonna fucking take it away from you because you have to ascend.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, one of the lessons that comes forward in The Hanged Man, right? So this is another opportunity to be able to practice what we've learned in that journey to the underworld. So the main symbols, well, we talked about the people falling. I mean, that's kind of crazy, you know, falling out of the tower. That blue dress kind of looks like the high priestess a little bit, you know, those like flowing kind of like watery gowns that we see. And it's interesting because this mountaintop also represents that idea of the hermit too, right? Except the hermit hasn't built anything on the mountaintop. The hermit is just, there, present, experiencing. But with the tower, this is something that's been built. This is something that was created by humans, created by man. Of course, whenever we see clouds that come up, like, you know, it feels like there's that, like when we have like cloudy days, like, you know, that sense of like something that fully isn't being seen as well. So there's that sense of mystery that comes forward. So
Andrea, I thought those clouds were smoke, as in, you know, the illusion of the ego. Could it be smoke, some of that?
love it. Yeah,
They
totally.
look like clouds.
Okay, let's go with smoke. They can be anything that comes forward in the moment. And if smoke is what really works for you, then absolutely, right?
Okay.
Yeah, go with like, you know, what you pick up intuitively. That's fantastic. Thank you, Terry. Elizabeth.
I might be just like super overtired right now, but can things be built from the tower?
Absolutely.
Like, is it always destruction?
Well, I don't know how many tower moments that I've had where things have like completely fallen apart only to reveal something even more beautiful underneath.
Well,
Yeah.
liberation.
Exactly. Yeah, Beth, for
Thank
sure.
you.
So, you know, you think about when a house burns down,
Yeah.
right? And like, you know, that sense of destruction that comes with that. But what you're left with is the foundation. And so there's always the ability to be able to rebuild from there. But like, you know, perhaps you're not going to put your crystal balls in your windows.
Don't let me forget that.
Yes, something will come to you.
For sure. So like the colors of this are like, you know, fairly ominous, right? Because it's like, you know, we don't want the tower to happen, but like, you know, the tower happens, right? Like I think Forrest Gump said it best, right? With you know, the poop he got on his foot and the reporter that was like running up and needing a quote, and then the reporter's like, hey, you got shit on your foot, and he's like, it happens. And that was anyways.
That's where that came from.
I feel like this tower card has been a good representation of this past year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure. This year, like I don't know about you guys, but I have tried to make plans and then I've seen those plans just fall to pieces and shatter.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like showing us like what we actually do have control over and what we don't have control over.
Well, the pandemic is actually a good what that card represents. It has taught us what we need more and what we need less.
Absolutely.
So
like I think so many people have been able to save money this year, for example.
yeah.
Right. And they maybe didn't even realize that they could do that. So, you know, there's been some really like beautiful blessings. Like people are starting to understand they don't have to live in a city because jobs are allowing people to be able to work remotely. So now more people are like moving out into the country. I heard in Ontario that the housing market there just skyrocketed of people moving out of Toronto and moving into all of the small towns all around because they were able to work remotely. And like, wouldn't you rather work remotely around trees than work remotely in a concrete village? So
That,
yeah.
that, yeah, that happened where my son lives as well. He lives in Connecticut, and everybody was moving out of New York because they realized that they could live in a beautiful state like Connecticut and not pay the astronomical prices of New York living. And so the housing market in Connecticut has skyrocketed.
Well, it's happened here too.
For
It's
sure.
happened everywhere, actually.
Yeah.
And you know what the good thing is with that is with people moving all to all of these small towns, they're going to have a new appreciation for nature, right?
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that that's what Mother Earth really needs, is that like she needs us to be able to appreciate her. And
If
so
they
people
don't
that
destroy
yeah, and people that are living in all of these small towns, they're going to start to see some of the carelessness that comes forward as far as industry goes, because like there's a way that people can make money and have jobs and that we can still preserve the environment, right? It's just they're not going to make as much money. So you know, we're transitioning, and like, you know, that's something that's really beautiful. So I see this card as the rise and fall of an empire, right? And so like we can look at this on like a really like broad viewpoint, like, you know, that the idea of the sun never sets on the British Empire, right? And now it does. The other piece of this that I really love is that first the universe will whisper in your ear and say, hey, you need a change. Next, the universe will tap on your shoulder and say, hey, it's really time for a change. And then finally, the universe brings out the frying pan and smacks you on the head and says, change.
Yeah.
So that's what
Exposure
the
of
power
truth.
card is.
Yeah.
Oh God, I wish you all could hear me laughing right now. Andrea, you're so funny. You make healing so much more fun.
Well, there's two ways of being able to release energy, right? You can laugh or you can cry. And both are just as effective. So it's like, you know, and I think a little bit of both is
Okay.
always really good.
Can I make you laugh then on that note?
All right, go for it.
Okay, everyone. I'm hoping that you can hold space for me for a couple of minutes. I was told to move, right? So I was like, okay, I'll move at the end of the month. No, you got to do it now. Talk to your grandma, and then go talk to grandma, and she's kind of like brokenhearted, right? But she's like, I don't know, they give me the card of like manipulation or immaturity for her, and I was like, holy fuck, like, and I've been getting those in my tarot readings and getting mad at people on YouTube and being like, she's not an idiot, she's 82 years old, I love her, you know. And then they told me to talk to her this morning right when she got up, so I did. And then they left Hitachi, and I guess my little cousin Seth was here in the room playing video games, and I was in the shower because I'm crying, right? That's where I go. I cry, I scream. I usually go to the bush, right, if I'm gonna scream, so I don't scare anyone, because it's how I release, right? And no, like people that aren't on a spiritual path are gonna think I'm lunatic and deserve to be in a mental home. So Sethi, poor little kid, is in the room playing video games, hearing me going, no, 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 like, you can't take my grandma, no. And I'm only moving an hour and a half away. Like, that's how much I love her. And so, but this is my purpose, right? So then Sethi, being this little kid, he's FAS or FAE, and he's like the biggest freaking heart ever, like biggest like lover. He's just so gentle and sweet and kind. And so he went outside because the cops were over at the neighbor's house doing something with them, and brought the cops over.
Oh no.
Okay, let's Let's all laugh because I need you to release for me. Laugh.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, Elizabeth, we're laughing with you. We're crying with you.
I'm in the shower, and then I usually get to a point where I can just lay down and like it's all released, and I can just like be in that mellow state of like, yes, it's gone. I was in there, and they're like, okay, get up now. Like spirit talks to me, right? Get up now, you're done. But someone's banging on the door, and I'm going, go outside and pee in the back. Grab some tissues from the kitchen and fucking go shit in the back. I'm in the shower right now. Like, I'm so sorry for screaming, but this is just what happened. And so then I'm taking my sweet ass time. I'm like, I'm in the shower. I did a lot of healing work today. I'm going to go slow. And the more they bang, the longer I'm going to take. I'm thinking it's like Sethi and he's got to pee or poop, right? I'm like, this city boy has to learn how to go shit in the backyard like I did when my dad took 3-hour-long baths, or run over to grandma's house and use her bathroom. So all of a sudden I'm in the bathroom, just about to pull the towel over. This white chick, cop officer, like is at the door in my bathroom. And then another white male cop sticks his head in the door and looks at me and then pulls his head back. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck, man? What the fuck? And then I chased them out of my house. They went to the front door, and I was like, she's like, turn the music down. Turn that music down. I'm like, get the fuck out of my house.
So you had a bit of a tower day, hey?
Get out of my house. Let me calm myself, center myself, put some clothes on, because you're being a motherfucking creep looking at my boobs right now. And let me come outside and talk to you. Then I went outside after I calmed down, my lavender oil, my rose water. Jesus Christ, please calm me down and center me, because these motherfuckers be testing me today. And so there, I get the magician card, the heartbreak. Why did this happen? They're still outside. I'm making those motherfuckers wait. I get the heart card, the broken heart card, the 3 of Wands, expansion. You need to learn something in this moment. Then the magician. You have all the tools you need to calm down and figure this out and work through it, because I don't like relationships where there's any kind of disconnect. I'm a Libra and I'm a lover. And so when I yell at someone, it breaks my heart and I got to go apologize right away. So I centered myself, went outside, and I preached to them for 20 minutes. And they listened and they took every piece. And every time they tried to cut me off, I said, no, you let me finish. And they let me finish. And I honored them and they honored me. And they were like, you go, girl. We're so sorry we seen your boobies, but we're so proud of you because you're going to bring the world together. And I was like, thank you. If we weren't in a pandemic, I would hug you. There is magic everywhere. There is crows flying around. The dogs are here because they're angels. They take our pain and they ground us like tangents after tangents after tangents after tangents. And they took it all, because of the perspective that I needed to gain to see how people talk to each other. So if you're not getting along with somebody, it's because you're not meeting them at their level of how they can comprehend what you're going through, who you are. So they yell at people and they talk down to people like this really angrily when, but when they see an old lady, they're real nice to her, right? And gentle. Why can't they be gentle with everybody? Because they don't love themselves and they're scared of the humans, the other humans, because they were hurt in their past. And so this is my purpose, one of many, is to teach the police how to love themselves. And before I left this town, I had to take my power back from the police and yell in her fucking face. And I told her at the front door, she was blocking my door. I almost punched her in the fucking face, ladies. I could have been in jail tonight.
Sure.
And I was like, I told her, I was like, I almost punched you in the face. She's like, thank you for not punching me in the face. I'm like, you're welcome. I'm really tough.
That was quite the rant, Elizabeth.
I'll say that certainly was a release.
That was a release for sure. Yeah. Goodness. Well, another meaning for the tower card. If the tower card comes up, means the police might be knocking on your bathroom door. Lovely. Does anybody have any questions about the tower?
I have an observation on the tower.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I see that as the phallic symbol,
Ooh.
as in the male penis, all fire and brimstone, as a representation of our paternalistic society and how they just push everything out of the way for their own purpose. And these other people that are falling are just victims of what that paternalistic symbolism has done throughout the ages.
It is changing though.
Yeah. And perhaps this is also like a future prediction of like, this like, male dominated society that's going to break down and fall apart.
Maybe, yeah.
Because like, it can't continue to move forward like that. It just like, again, it doesn't have the base, right? To be able to build on. And like the base is Mama Earth. Right. And we need to like, we need to honor the vagina. We need to like honor the femininity and that like that softness like within us. That's a really beautiful observation.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah. Down with the
Thank you for sharing,
patriarchy.
Elizabeth. That was a great story.
Thank you for witnessing. There was way more to the story. That was the short version. So I'm gonna put it in my book. It was way crazier.
Sounds like it. Oh goodness. All right. So after that, what do we need? Well, we need the star to come in. After the tower, a little bit of like softness, right? And so it's so beautiful to see this like, crazy like male phallic symbol. And then like, what do we get? We get this like, beautiful like femininity that's coming forward and like giving back to the earth. And that's something that's so beautiful. So what do you guys think of the star? What kind of feelings does this elicit? Andrea, what do you think?
Where's Andrea?
I'm glad that I'm here. It reminds me of, I was just looking, it reminds me of, shoot, I just had it, of temperance.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it reminds me of temperance, that there's 2 cups. Well, in temperance, she's pouring it in 1 cup, but, they both have 1 foot in the water and 1 foot off the ground. Seems to be mountains and greenery and trees. The temperance is dressed and the star isn't.
My world isn't dressed, or tower.
For star?
Star. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on the star.
Yeah, I know.
So it's that, and like the nudity represents like our true selves, right? Like, like who we are without any of the layers that we put on. And yeah, it looks like it's exactly the same jugs. And so, within us, we try to like balance these waters. And then we realize that we need to take these waters, we need to give back, right? We need to like let them go out into the universe and into the world as well. Jeanne, what do you think about the star card?
I feel a sense of peace from it,
Mm-hmm.
and balance is what I feel from it. And I
Yeah.
like the bird because there's a bird back there, so I know that there's music.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I think we've talked about how music is so healing too, right? So, that's one of the meanings of this beautiful card. So when we take a look, hope, inspiration, there's like, there's a sense of like, us like doing the healing work. So, if you've been through like a really crazy tower upheaval, like seeing the star is a really great sign, because like there's a sense of just being guided forward. And so it's a sign that we're growing, and you can see that with all of all the little flowers that are blossoming, and then the tree in the background. There's that feeling of growth that comes forward. I also see the star as a wishing star. And I'm sure everybody's like, we all have that tradition of like stars and making a wish. And so like, it's that like that next wish that we set that calls us forward, and like the universe pulls us into those different circumstances that allow for that wish to come true. So I see this as a guiding light. And often this card will come up in connection to people that are healers as well. So if you see like the star card in your reading for somebody, if you're noticing that all the cards are really positive and you see the star card, it's like most likely that person is also a healer, that there's somebody that's here to be able to help and guide people. And so it's wonderful because it's just like, this is the renewal that we need. This is like, our opportunity to, it's the pouring out of water, right? So when we think about pouring out water, we think pouring out of our emotions, right? Like letting it all out and just like letting it be. So I also see this in connection to forgiveness as well, where we start to forgive ourselves, we start to forgive other people, and we allow ourselves to just to rise up again. Yeah, and we can only do this when we are willing to be completely vulnerable, when we're willing to really be naked and just to lay it all out, right? That's when like true healing comes forward. And so this can come when we are in that place of like really being able to trust ourselves, or if we're working with a healer, really being able to trust them, to be able to hold that space for us while we go through our process of healing. So astrologically, this represents the Aquarius sign. So this is the water bearer. Do we have any Aquariuses here? No Aquariuses? Okay, so Aquarius energy, they're really deep thinkers. Really deep thinkers. They will take like, like one detail and be able to break it apart into many details. So they're also a little bit eccentric as well. And so that is like, like healing too, is that when we're able to go and dive in, like, really deep and like take a look at that from a different perspective. And when we're not afraid to just like really just be who we are, no matter what that person is that we discover in this process. So how many stars are there? Because this is kind of cool.
7.
And including the big one?
Oh, yeah.
So this is breaking down to our astrology again. So we have 7 small stars, and then we have the one big star. So we have 8 stars in total. And of course, in numerology with the star card, we have the 1 plus the 7 equals 8. And you guys remember what other card is the number 8? In major arcana, there's a lion in it. Elizabeth.
Strength.
Yeah, for sure. So this is about us, like, finding that, like, again, it's like an inner journey. So it has a very feminine quality to this. Then when we look at the symbols, so we have the 8 stars, we have the jugs that from the temperance card. We have the tree in the background, and we have the bird. I have bird twice. Okay, that's great. And so this is the abyss bird, and this is associated with Thoth, who is the Egyptian god of wisdom and insight. So the star is where we find our insight. It's where we find our wisdom, where we gain a deeper sense of clarity. So I love like the blue, greens, and yellows of this card. And of course, like we all know the little poem, probably from our childhood. I wish I may, I wish I might have this wish I wish tonight. So when we see the star, it is important to make that wish of, it helps to propel us forward, to help us to understand why we're doing this healing. And we're doing the healing to allow us to be able to fulfill our desires, to be able to fulfill our destiny. And of course, if we look at like stars in the night sky, we also remember that sailors used to guide their journeys like through the stars, and that's how they would know kind of where they were and be able to follow like the guiding light of the North Star. Do you guys have any other like star memories that come up for you, or star stories that you can think of? Karen, do you have anything?
Sorry, I was busy taking notes.
Oh, no problem.
I've got the iPad to take the notes and the laptop to the laptop for the screen and the iPad to take the notes. I mean, I think I like stars almost as much as I like the moon. Like it, and I love to see, well, I mean, they're not really stars because they're asteroids, but I do love to watch, or meteors. I do love to watch the meteor showers. Are, falling stars, or so they may seem to be. And I used to be, the place that I lived for quite a long time, the large farm that I lived at in Ontario, like we had like 400 acres, and it was out in the middle of nowhere, so there was no light pollution, and we could go out. I would take a blanket out and lay in the show jump field when it was all set up for one of our horse trials. And you could just see, like, when you talk about laying under a carpet of stars, just incredible, with no light pollution and no people, or like nothing. And all the jumps in the field would all be set and everything all pretty for tomorrow, but it would just be, yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, the moon is my thing, but the stars are probably a close second.
I love how the stars remind us how small we are, but also like, how big we are in like, the grand scheme of things. Like, so there's it's epic, right? Like, there's nothing like seeing like clear stars without light pollution. It's just so amazing.
And I think for every person, I could be wrong, but I think for every person, there's certain constellations and certain stars that are the first thing you look for, the first thing you see, the ones that attract you the most.
Mm-hmm. What's
Right?
Yours? Which one do you like to?
Oh, I love the stars in Orion's belt.
Nice.
Those are the three. That's the first thing. And I mean, you might say, because it's easy to find the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, and what constellation is really clear right now? Oh, shoot. Can't remember. Like here at the farm, we get to see the stars really, really well, but definitely the three in a row, that Orion's, but that's the one.
And oftentimes when we talk about destiny, we talk about our stars aligning, right? And like when we travel, it changes our stars as well. Chris, what star do you look for when you go out into the night sky?
I just like looking around at all of them, really. I just like gazing, and I wish I knew a little bit more about the stars. So, we've got a hot tub, and so I just like to sit there and, just look at them. Yeah, that's about it.
It's like there's a humbling feeling when we like look out into the universe, where we like really feel humbled by like, like thinking of all of those stars and all of those suns, and that some of those stars are like galaxies themselves that have billions of stars. It's that infinite energy that comes forward. And that's what the star card is here to remind us of, is that like we're stardust. We're a part of something that's amazing and beautiful and whole. Any other questions about the star card? No? Okay.
I just wanted to say one more thing that I do like about it is that in the one cup that she's pouring water out of, it's like roots to me. I look at it and I see roots feeding, the other water and just feeding through the earth, the nutrients that the rest of the area needs to have. So I really, really liked that part of the card.
Mhm. Do you guys have your star cards from your decks? You want to hold
Yeah.
them up?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Carolyn, that one's
I
beautiful.
just have the regular one.
Lovely.
Mhm.
Cool. So like all of them have that like main sparkle, right? That like main star. So it's also fun to think about like what star we came from or what star that we've visited. So that's another workshop. Okay, well, moving right along. Here we go. Next is the moon, La Luna. I think that like, everyone has had a fascination with the moon, right? And I love the face that like, that idea of like, the man and the moon and how like we constantly move within all of these cycles that come forward as well. It's a really amazing experience to be able to witness. Cindy, are you with us? Just observing? No problem.
I'm just not feeling that good, so I'm just sort of listening. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh no, that's totally fine.
I might skip out a bit again. I got a headache.
I just wanted to make sure that you were included. That's all.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
yeah, no problem. Awesome. Gail, what do you think about the moon?
I love the moon, and I'm actually just reading this moon. I'm following the phases of the moon. We talked earlier about the cards. I've had the Tower, and every time I've had it in reading, a significant event happens. And I've had the Star, but I have never had the moon come up in the reading.
Okay.
Not but what people have done for me, I have never had the moon. But I do have this new fascination with the moon. I'm actually following a calendar, and we'll see.
There's something going on with your microphone, Gail. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Maybe it's not quite plugged in all the way. Sometimes that happens. But I think I caught most of that. That's interesting how the moon doesn't come up, because like the moon is actually a very like complex symbol within tarot. So let's take a look at it. Awesome. So here we are again. So of course the moon is a reflection. All of the light from the moon is actually coming from the sun, which is so beautiful. And so within tarot, it can represent that world of the subconscious where we're going under, we're going deep. So there is no deeper sign out there than Pisces, right? And do we have any Pisces here?
You.
Yeah, I'm a Pisces. Yeah, all the hands go up.
My twin flame is Pisces.
Oh, amazing.
Are you Scorpio,
Libra.
Elizabeth?
Libra.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the moon card, what is a symbol that we have just seen within the Tower card that's also in this card?
Those yellow
Yods.
Yods, yeah, for sure. How many of them do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And so what other number is related to the number 15? The shackles of the devil. So, it's that whole idea of like, like darkness, but like, even in darkness, that darkness is also part of the divine, right? And that's a really important concept, because I think a lot of people in New Age philosophy, they want to like eliminate the darkness. It's just like, no, everything's good, everything's positive, everything's beautiful, right?
That drives me crazy.
It really is. And so I see that as like spiritual escapism.
It
And
is.
I think that like what it is just finding the balance between the light and the dark, right? And knowing that like we can have like a really positive attitude, but we can still have the understanding that like, you know, we each have like a shadow, we each have like, you know, darkness within us, and that like humanity as a whole has like a really dark history that we're still like learning how to transcend from. So I think that there is like magic in the darkness, because like darkness is just a place where the light hasn't hit yet. And that's a really important part to remember. And so when we illuminate that darkness, like, you know, that the magic that can be found within that is something that's really beautiful as well. So like the moon, I feel is that reminder to love the darkness as well. That
Can I
like, you know,
give-
yeah, go for it, Kim.
Well, I thought that was a little scorpion before on the bottom, and I was wondering why that was there, but it's really just a crayfish.
Yeah, that's what they say. I thought
Oh,
it was a scorpion too. Like a scorpion like makes a lot of sense.
well,
It
especially
is.
like a water sign too, like it's
Yeah,
coming from the water. I don't know. I'm just wondering, but anyway.
because crayfish are
What's the significance of the pillars?
the pillars. Do you guys remember the other card that the pillars are in? I'll give you a hint. It's the number 13. Has
Is
a
it
white
the
Oh,
horse.
oh,
the
with the
height?
chariot.
Oh, the death.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So death is where we enter the underworld, at least in my opinion. And I feel the moon is where we come back out of it.
So are
And
they
so-
representing a gateway?
yeah, for sure. And you know, those like two towers, they look a lot like the tower as well. And the tower card is, you know. So it's those like, you know, and it's interesting how many like gateways or pillars or entrances that we find within the major arcana. So it is another one of those cards that allows us to transcend or to move into that other space or that other world. So it's there's a gateway connection that comes forward. So the moon is mysterious, and like the moon can be notoriously hard to read because it does talk when you're talking about confusion, and then you're reading that like, oh, okay, there's confusion here. So what's going on, right? And so it's all about, again, like, you know, bringing light to that darkness. Is the confusion coming from like sadness? Right? Is the confusion like coming from like, you know, the like a mental health imbalance, like, you know, brain chemicals that have like gone whack? You know, is it coming from like something that has been repressed within our subconscious? So when the moon comes up, it's letting us know that things are not clear right now, and that like when things are not clear, then we have to go below the surface and we have to dig a little bit deeper to be able to reveal that wisdom or to reveal that information. So it's not surprising that the moon is very much related to the hermit, right? Because like the hermit has his like guiding light, and like, you know, he's searching through the darkness, and like the moon is the guiding light that helps us to be able to illuminate that darkness. So this is a very feminine card. This is a very internal experience. Oftentimes dreams will be really strong. So that's something, if you're reading for somebody and the moon card comes up, ask them how they've been sleeping, ask them how their dreams have been, because that will also give some more insight into what is hidden underneath the surface. because that is what you're wanting to discover, what is hidden in the darkness. So the key symbols, it's interesting how we have a wolf and then we also have a dog. So the wolf is like the wildness of nature, right? That like, that part of nature that we can't control. And then of course the dog has been domesticated and there are pets, but there are two aspects of the same thing. I really love the pathway in this as well. So this is the yellow brick road that's emerging, and like it's rolling hills too, right? So the background images that you find within tarot sometimes are related to the card, but sometimes will also relate to the place of origin of that person. Which can be a lot of fun. So getting to know different geographies of different places can be helpful in finding out where different people are, where they come from. So like to me, like this kind of looks like the image of, have you guys ever been like on the prairies and like, coming up to the Rocky Mountains? Right? It's like, where the prairies meet the sky and the rolling hills and those mountains in the background. So watch for those things as well, because we can pick out pieces from each of the cards that have a completely different meaning than the card does itself. And that's the fun part, is that, it gets really fascinating what we can creatively and intuitively discover. So again, we have the yods, we've got some rocks. So rocks are like really like solid, right? So there's a solidity here, but there's grass, so things are growing. And I like the crayfish because the crayfish is one of those animals that can be on land or water. So
Crayfish.
there's a mutable energy that comes forward.
Crayfish don't have pinchers.
Yeah, they do.
Interesting. And it depends, like there's many different kinds of crayfish all around the world. Because there's like a crayfish in like Louisiana. And so because when I got real deep into the crayfish, I'm like, okay. And there's a wide variety of them.
So Andrea, as you describe this card, I see it as a card that activates transition. And when you speak of coming from below, when you see the star card, I see the stars as beings before us.
Absolutely. The star people.
Yeah.
And then you get into the like Arcturian energy, and you get into the Pleiadian energy. Yeah, there's a lot of places you can go in the stars for sure. Jen.
My experience with the moon, I worked in the hospital for over 7 years, and it was dreadful when it came to full moon time and even new moon. But full moon, we knew we lived right on the Trans-Canada Highway, and that was when the worst crashes took place. And lots of things took place. It was like you knew it was new moon by what came in the door, or full moon. And then that's when babies are born more. And also new moon. And then my doctor told me that because I was overdue, and he says, that's okay, full moon is coming. And of course my baby was born. So it's a lot of, you don't realize when I look at the moon, and I'm fascinated by it because the pull it has on our own lives and energies is tremendous. We look at stars, I find stars calming and cool and whatever, but when I look at the moon, I can just feel, and I know the energy that it brings on people, and I've seen it happen, in negative ways. Maybe you want to look at it positive and negative, but it does have it's very powerful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention, sorry, I've got the hidden meanings of tarot, and they're definitely referring to that little sea creature as a crayfish. In the hidden meanings of tarot, they're definitely referring to it as a crayfish.
What does it say about that crayfish, Gail?
It says, now they call it lobster, crab, or crayfish. It's a reminder to the person having the reading to lose their hard outer protective shell. And allow their inner self to come out and develop.
I mean, Andrea's going to know more, but they definitely, I know I thought it was a scorpion too, but they're definitely calling it that. And just a comment, like as Jean had been saying, I remember going to a lawyer's office and talking with the secretary and her saying it's a full moon. Just the number of different legal issues that would come up during the full moon. It's just interesting.
Absolutely. And then like we think as like women, like the connection to our own cycle that comes forward, right? With the 28-day cycle and like
that's
where
why
each cycle falls.
and that's why we call it the moon time, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this. Well, you will be able to see it, Andrea, but I can't because I'm just on your, I see you, but look at this. My moon card here has got, the full moon is like a woman's face and she looks so sad. Well, she looks so, I don't know. And then the crescent moon attached to is the crying as well. Can you see that?
Can you hold it up in front of the camera? There you go. And a little bit closer to you. And I'll be able to see it. There you go. Okay, cool. Yeah. The moon does represent some sadness. You know, that's like, you know, the most commonplace meaning that I found is that like when the moon card comes up for somebody, that it's usually representing that they're going through a hard time or there's some like emotions that are underneath the surface. Absolutely. Yeah. And like, you know, it's interesting because like we're mostly water. We're like 70% water, right? And like the moon controls the tide cycles by like moving water. So of course the moon is going to have an effect on us as well. And it's like, you know, it's so much closer to us than the stars are, right? So it's a really beautiful symbol. And it's like, you know, there's just all of that mystery that's wrapped up within it. That's so beautiful. Cool. Does everyone feel good about the moon? Awesome. Moving right along. Yay! The sun card. Welcome to the happiest card of the deck. Like, look at this kid. He's got like, you know, the sunflowers going on and he's got a big banner and he's got a horse. Where else is that horse that we've seen within the major arcana?
Death.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a really like interesting turnaround. Hey, like seeing the white horse come up again. But this is like just like bright, happy, sunshine, like good things that are coming forward. And so whenever you see the sun card show up in a reading, it just like it really lightens the effect of any of the other challenging cards. Okay. So like, you know, perhaps that person is maybe just like overthinking things and things just really aren't that bad, right? So the sun is about like contentment, but there's like an innocence and there's a playfulness to this card as well. We're connecting to our inner child. We're finding that like, you know, that place of expression, because of course the sun is also related to Leo as well. But in this case, it's like representing the sun, the biggest, the closest star to us. And so this is a card about positivity and fearlessness. If you're asking a yes or no question and the sun comes up, yes, it's all good. Clear path that's coming forward. And so yeah, and what's really cool with like the sun card is that it's related to the number 10. So 19, 1 plus 9 equals 10. You can break that down again to the 1 relating to the magician. So perhaps this is the magician getting what he wants, right? Like, you know, finding that intention and finally finding the success within the intention. So traditionally, the moon, since it's so like the sun, since it's so fiery, is like a masculine kind of archetype. You know, there's like those sunspots going out and energy moving all around. So, and it's really interesting because like the red banner, so we see that color red come in with fabric, especially within like the Hierophant, right? I believe we see it in the Emperor as well. And like this kid is just waving the banner. So like, you know, there's this like carefree feeling that comes forward. That red feather we have also seen before. Do you guys remember where in the major arcana we've seen the red feather?
The Fool.
The Fool.
Yeah, the Fool. So this is that like playful, joyful innocence that comes forward. And I think it's really interesting, like the wall and that idea of like finding contentment within the space that we've created for ourselves. At least like that's what it means for me. Right. And like, you know, walls can represent blocks, but they can also represent security as well. Right? Like, you know, having like four walls around you is a really good feeling. So, you know, and I feel like, you know, in this sense, it represents the security along with kind of that red banner. But that kid is like super cute and just like naked and just like, he's just like, yeah, here I am. So this really like the dominating color is that yellow. It's just like, you know, it hits you right in the sacral chakra, saying like, yay. And then of course, like, you know, we think of the phrase, oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, oh, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. So, you know, we all look for the sunshine on the cloudy days. It's like the sun that like, just like, it brings warmth. And like, this is just a really beautiful card. And it's a really easy card to read because it's just like, it's just pure light and happiness. So we all could use a little bit of that now and then for sure. So it's nice that that's part of our journey. Any questions about the sun? Oh, okay. Moving right along. The Judgment card. So it's interesting that word judgment will really kind of elicit some like, you know, big feelings that come forward, because of course nobody wants to be judged, right, in this world. But you know, we also like, we have to make judgments, like, and like I like the word personally discernment.
Me
So,
too.
you know, knowing what's right for us. So like, you know, judgment is like, you know, sometimes like a decision that comes down from like an outside source. Whereas like discernment is just like, you know, what we know that's right for us. So this is a card that is like, you know, just again, coming to like the climax of things. So this is like, you know, all of our choices, all of our decisions, they all build to come to this point. And if we've made good choices and good decisions, then we're going to get a really good outcome, right? But if we haven't made such good decisions, then perhaps we're not going to get quite the outcome that we've expected. So there is a sense of transition that comes forward. And you can see that in the people rising up, and it looks like they're dead, right? They're coming out of coffins to like to be reborn and to heed the call that's coming forward. So oftentimes I'll read this, if this is in a career position, I'll read this as somebody finding their calling. So they finally kind of decided what it is that they want to do with their life. And so this is always a really great card to see, especially for people going through their quarter life crisis, like, you know, the 24 to 26-year-olds that are just trying to figure out what it is that they want before their Saturn return hits when they turn 27, 28. So there's a big sense of realization that comes forward. We start to take responsibility for the choices that we've made from the actions of our past, and we're able to assess that and just to wake up. And that's what's so beautiful, is that we wake up. We wake up to the understanding that we create our reality, and we create our reality through our thoughts, through our feelings, and of course through our actions as well. And we start to be able to see how we've done this. So astrologically, this relates to the the planet of Pluto, which of course is all about death and rebirth. And Pluto is also the ruler of Scorpio. But what I found really interesting in this, and this kind of just got me thinking, is that Pluto was only discovered in 1930. And tarot cards have been around since, it's like for what we know about the 1350s. So it's really interesting how this, god of death and rebirth has come up, even though it was discovered so late. So as tarot has developed throughout the ages, each teacher or scholar or group or like occultist, they've put their own take on things. They've put their own feel on things. That's why there's so many different kinds of tarot cards out there, right? So I found that to be really interesting. We're going to be looking at the astrology really quickly afterwards. So yeah, and of course, the judgment card, with it being a 20, 2 plus 0 equals 2. And what major arcana card is the number 2?
Not the Empress.
Close. You're one away. The Empress is 3.
Okay.
And the first one is the Magician, which is all about will. And so this is the number 2.
High Priestess.
High Priestess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, bringing things into balance, right? But where justice is kind of like things are still in motion, things are still happening with justice. The judgment is like the effect of the, after the decision has been made. So if there's like a court case coming up or these kinds of things, and we see the judgment card, it's also telling us that this is the decision, this is the result that has come about. So the key symbols, so we have Archangel Gabriel, and he is the messenger angel. It's so interesting because he comes up in the Quran and in the Bible and in a few other different sacred texts. And he's also he's the messenger. So he was the one that told Mary that she was going to give birth to Jesus. So he is the archangel that is here to call us out, to call us to rise again and to move forward. And that's the symbol of the horn as well. Perhaps the person that you're reading for is a saxophone player. Sometimes these things happen, okay? Or plays like clarinet. So remember, don't take the cards too seriously. Because if you take them too seriously, you're going to get sometimes they like to play with you. So let them play, because it's through laughter and that expression of the inner child that we can find some really beautiful, insightful messages that come forward. So we have the flag. This kind of reminds me of Switzerland. There's I would say a neutral kind of energy that comes forward in this. At least that's the way that I pick it up. It's also the Red Cross. So there's that healing energy again with that. And then we see the waters and we see the mountains in the distance. So this is also us being able to rise above our emotions, right? Being able to rise above our challenges and to be able to find that sense of renewal in our lives. So it's interesting, this has a very blue, white, red kind of feel to it. And it's interesting because it's kind of ominous, but it's freeing at the same time. Do you guys feel that? Carolyn, what do you feel when you look at the judgment card?
I don't know, it almost feels like sort of like a completion of something, or being able to take all the information or experiences that have happened and then bring them to some kind of conclusion, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this card is the last 20 minutes of the movie. You know, you've been living the movie for, you know, for your whole life. And then like, you know, we come to this like culmination where we're like, yes, this is what I feel. Yes, this is what this is. And so this is the time where the guy's like running in the airport to go catch up with the love of his life before she's leaving on a plane to get that amazing job. So the phrase for this, I would say, is the writing is on the wall. And it's also the time is to rise again. So it's a beautiful, just a beautiful image. Any other questions about the judgment card? No.
Just a comment.
Sure, comments are
This-
great too.
Yeah, this card is the first time I look at it and I see judgment and I see the people there. It reminds me as a child, I'm a Catholic, and it's funny because I've been thinking about this lately. It's about the Day of Judgment, right? And I always remember, you know, the picture and everybody above being judged, and which was, even as a child, I could not deal with that concept. But anyways, it's very interesting because right away the first thing I look at is Judgment Day when I see this card, when I see the people, right?
Yeah.
It makes more sense because there's a few people instead of 3 million.
Absolutely. And like that idea of like, you know, like Judgment Day, I mean, it's pretty ominous. Why is it that like every religion always has to have this like end time story? You know, like our planet has still got like, you know, a few billion years left, right? We still got lots of time, unless we kill ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's really interesting. And like the other like portrayal of that is that like, you know, within like Christianity or like Catholicism, you know, it's about like letting God be the judge. But like I don't know, like when I was young, I found that there was quite a few people that practiced that weren't letting God be the judge.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I think that that's all of like, you know, like our journey to discovering that well, we're a piece of the collective, and that's where we like come into the final image of the world. So this is just full circle completion. So, you know what, he ran through the airport, he caught her just in time, like, you know, he gave her this amazing kiss and they decided to be together, right? And so it's the completion of that story, but of course it links back into the Fool, and now they're like in a couple together, and you know, that's a whole other story, right?
Two fools.
So I love this image. Do you guys notice the 4 figures in the corners? What other card do they come from? And do you remember what they are?
I just got that card today. The world. Is it? Oh, this is the world. Sorry.
Yeah.
The wheel.
Wheel of Fortune.
You got it, for sure. So, and these are the 4 signs, and what signs are they for bonus points? Anybody?
Signs as in astrological signs.
Yeah.
Leo.
Leo. The
Leo.
ram is Taurus.
Yep. The eagle's
Maybe-
just mean because it's supposed to represent Scorpio.
That's not fair.
I know. I didn't draw the card. But everywhere that I've read, that's what it represents. Chris,
Is that
not
because of the
me.
Phoenix?
the
Well,
Phoenix?
tell them.
It could be the Phoenix if you want it to be the Phoenix.
I want it to be a phoenix.
Nice.
Well, but it's an eagle.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Leo, so I'm watching out for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure. And so they're one from each element, and like the human is supposed to be Aquarius. So that's like the air
Aquarius, yeah.
and the water, and the Leo is fire, and then the bull is that earthy Taurus energy that comes forward. And the batons, where else did we see a baton? This was like way back in the beginning.
I know. Was
He's a powerful guy. He has the stance.
The
A
emperor?
magician.
Magician. Yeah. So now she has 2 batons, right? So is again, there is like the transformation. So we're starting something new, but we're also bringing things into completion. And again, more nudity. Do you notice that the nudity really picked up for coming back into the world? You know, first everybody has clothes on, and then like the last part of the journey, everybody's taking it off, right? So I feel like that is just representative of like us peeling off our layers, right? And just like, you know, coming back to just that, just the simple truth of like what we were born with. Awesome. So here we go. So completion, full circle. This card, you graduate from university, and what do you get? You get the world card. You get married. What do you get? You get the world card. So I relate this one to the Four of Wands, which is the minor arcana version of completion. So this is just saying that like, hey, you're ready for the next, like, you know, but there's also within this image just a sense of belonging, knowing that like we're a part of this world. And like, you know, nobody can take that away from us. Like we were born here, right? We didn't like, you know, like in our physical life, like we didn't choose to be here. In our spiritual life, yeah, we chose to be here. And so like we belong here. And so there's a sense of like wholeness. So this is the synthesis, right? Where like, you know, we had that big climax within the judgment and like the answer came forward. And now we take that answer and we synthesize it with ourselves, with our community, to be able to find like a greater sense of like harmony and belonging. Interestingly enough, this is also related to Saturn, which is a planet that is very traditional. So this is like the way of the world and often really speaks of career, as we talked about within the Saturn return. So it's always kind of interesting because I find when people are going through their Saturn return, the world card will show up, which is fascinating. And so Saturn return, it happens twice in our lives. So it happens when we're like 27, 28, and then it happens again when we are about 54, 56. Yes, Chris. Oh, can't hear ya.
Isn't it a little bit older? Because I think I'm in my Saturn return right now, and I'm going to be turning 59 soon.
Cool. It depends where Saturn is in your chart. Because like Saturn
Right,
goes
okay,
like, and
yeah,
it like
that makes
reverse,
sense.
it goes into reversal sometimes. So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
for sure.
Can you say a bit more about that, Andrea? What is Saturn return? I don't really understand it.
Oh, sure. So Saturn is like, you know, is kind of way out here, and it takes Saturn about 28 years to go all the way around the sun, or 28 of our years, and to come back to the same place. So a Saturn year is 28 years. Right? That's how long it takes to go all the way around the sun. And so when we were born, Saturn is in one position, and then it usually takes about that like 28 years to be able to come back and get back into that same position again. So Saturn being so like serious and being about us like finding our way within the world, right? Which is what the judgment card is saying. You have a calling, follow your calling. And so like the world is us living our calling. And so that's where like, you know, we find out more about ourselves like at 28. That's why a lot of people go through what I call the quarter life crisis, from like, you know, 24 to 26, because they're just like, oh my God, I have to figure out my life. What am I going to do with myself? Where am I going to be? What am I going to do for work? And then about like 28, they seem to figure it all out. Usually, not everybody. Everybody's on different cycles. So it's just like the Saturn return is where we step into ourselves. Like we step into what our place is in the world. We step into what our place is within society. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm in the midst of that right now.
Yeah. So it can happen at any time. That's the really important thing to remember is like, you know, like the world card and that Saturn energy, especially where it is, depending at where it comes up in our charts, can be really strong for us.
Well, I'm 54 this year, so that makes sense.
Ah, okay, cool. It's just starting for you. So we have the wreath, which is just like that symbol of success. We've got the naked woman. We've got purple cloth. So purple is all about intuition and insight. So we've learned how to be able to integrate all of the information that we've learned through our lessons into our intuition and into our knowledge base. And she's got her like batons, and we've got the color blue and green, and there's many songs written about the world. I like around the world, around the world. And then there's we are the world,
Yeah.
we
I
are the
love that.
children.
That's
So
one of my favorite songs. I love that song.
so there's like, you know, all of this music that has been like dedicated to like us as a whole. This is us as humanity. And so that's where, like, you know, when we step into the world, we're also stepping into that sense of like, you know, of our humanity, of our community, the people that we love. Cool. So very briefly, we are going to take a look at the celestial bodies. So this is just kind of a breakdown of like, you know, of what we've been talking about. Because of course there are, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the celestial bodies. And then we have 12 astrological signs, and we have 22 major arcana. So it's kind of cool how it is all kind of fit together. Whether or not the creators of tarot knew that this was going to fit together and knew that Pluto was out there, well, that is something that only you can decide. And then we take a look at the timing of things. So if these cards come up in relationship to the planet and you're getting a strong connection to the planet, you might want to check out what that planet's doing. So I like to keep up to date with astrology, just so I kind of like know where the planets are, so that I know if there's like a certain theme that's coming in that we're all experiencing collectively. And astrology is super fun too, and like, you know, a whole other can of worms. And then we have the astrology that comes forward. And so these are all the timings of things. So when you see these cards, often there's a time that can be discerned from it, especially if you're asking about the when is this going to happen? And if you get a major arcana card that follows one of these like 12, then it's usually telling you what that timing is. So I've used this to predict babies and people getting jobs and like houses coming in, all this sort of stuff. So I found that it's like usually quite accurate, but it is a matter of knowing exactly what your intention is when you pull that, because of course, like all of these cards have multiple meanings. And you intuitively are allowed to completely put your own take on it. So please don't get stuck with any of these like rational meanings that I give you. If you have like a feeling or like a meaning that like really resonates with you, please use that one. Because as we develop our relationship with tarot, what we're doing is we're creating our own system where we put all of our wisdom into all of these cards. And what it becomes is our own personal library and collection of the wisdom and the knowledge that we've gathered within our lives. So that's something that's really fun. And you can take like so many spiritual teachings and put them into all of these cards. And I've just found that that's been so fun to be able to do. I like to be able to put things into beautiful little boxes like these cards are. But again, like, do it in your own way. And as you practice reading, and especially practice reading for others, you're going to see pretty quickly what works and what doesn't work. Because when you're reading for somebody and you like totally miss the mark, their face is just going to be like, huh? right? But like when you're reading for them and you're like totally hitting the mark, they're going to be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're going to be going more into this, especially when we go into the art of reading tarot, because we're going to learn about how to take all of these archetypes, all of these cards, and put them together. And of course, like, you know, we've been talking about the upright versions of these cards, and we're going to talk about the reversals. And whether or not you choose to use reversals, because this is a choice that comes up in tarot, and you can or you cannot, and you can still do a really accurate, amazing reading. And that's the important part, is that like you discern through the cards what's right for you, and you will learn simply through practice. Awesome. So does anybody have any questions about any of this or anything else? Kim.
Can you just flip to the last slide?
Sure.
I just wanted to take a picture of it.
Absolutely. And I
Thank
will
you.
be creating a page on my website that will have all 3 videos that we've done. And it'll also have a link to be able to download the PDFs and all of the cheat sheets as well. So that way you'll have all of the information in one place, which is kind of nice. Elizabeth.
Thank you so much. When is your next one?
It starts on April 6th.
April 6th. Okay.
So that one's going to be on Tuesdays.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. And the next one's after that one. I'm thinking into the future. Are you going to be doing like the planets and the astrology stuff?
I'm thinking that, like, you know, as it starts to get warmer and our restrictions are being laid off, that people aren't going to be wanting to be inside in front of a computer. So I'm probably going to be taking a break for the summer, and hopefully being able to put on some in-person events, like, you know, I hope, but I'll probably continue back in the fall. But I think that everybody is, as soon as like freedom hits, everybody's going to be outside and nobody's going to want to be inside. And I don't think I'm going to want to be inside either. So I'll probably do a couple more workshops at the first half of May, and then just take a break for the summer and come back in the fall.
What's the name of the April 6th one?
The April 6th one is the Art of Reading Tarot.
Okay.
And so we're going to talk about card connections. So what happens if, like, you know, the star and the tower come up together, and how does that affect the meaning of the cards? We're going to be talking about the reversals. We're also going to be taking a look more at how to read intuitively. And we're going to start to incorporate a lot more kind of like hands-on work with it. So we're going to be doing more readings for each other, and like readings as a group as well. For me, I really appreciate having the knowledge base, because the knowledge base is your backup system, right? Because some people are super easy to read and the messages just pour through and you have no problems. Other people are a lot harder to read, and then you want to go into the meanings of the cards. And the reason that is that like we connect with different people in different ways, right? And like, just because we don't like connect with somebody on like, you know, that real like intuitive level, doesn't mean that you can't give them an amazing reading by using the logical meanings of the cards as well. So we're just going to start to like take it, like transform that and get more into the intuitive side of things.
Okay.
I have a question.
For sure.
To practice the readings, when I took the first course with the Lesser Arcana, you gave us like 3 cards to do, the present and actually I kind of forget it, but should I continue doing that with all the cards now?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, tarot spreads, I think, is the first one that we have. And we're going to be talking about different tarot spreads that you can use. We're going to be taking a look at the Celtic Cross as well. Is anybody familiar with that one, the Celtic Cross? It's a 10-card spread. You know, that's more the traditional, but I'm going to show you guys the spread that I've been using, because like I kind of made it up and it works like a hot damn. I mean, it was divinely inspired, but it works like a hot damn. And it really gets into what people want to talk about. And so the way of this one is that I do 3 card spreads are great to start off with. So the 3 ones are mind, heart, and spirit. Also past, present, future. And
Yeah.
then we go into life path, love and relationships. Those are the 2 things everybody wants to know about 80% of the time. And then the life lesson. So what is that person learning? Where are they in their journey? What's going on that way? And like you can find tons of spreads on the internet too. So if you like Google tarot spreads, like, just feel free to like, explore and just like try out different ones. Another great spread that we're going to be looking at is an astrology spread. So we're doing a 12 card spread, taking a look at the year to come and tapping into what's happening in each of those months.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
When will this information be up on your website?
Probably in the next couple of days. I just gotta crack the whip for my web designer, aka my husband, and then we'll get it up there.
Be gentle.
Absolutely, for sure. Him and I have a very good working relationship. Elizabeth.
Are you twin flames?
I don't know. I really feel like we're soulmates. Like we're really connected as far as like our life path goes. Twin flame relationships, like I think I've had one and it was just awful. It depends what your definition is of those 2 things. Twin flames are like really intense relationships that are here to show us a lot and to like wake us up. But not always best for life partnership.
Okay, what I thought my understanding is that because I had a reading with Pearl Peterson, she goes to your intuitive psychic fairs.
Yeah.
And her and I are soulmates. We're connected. We're back together in this life. And like she's texting me right now. And we're helping each other because we have the same vision for life and we're gonna be like, partners. In a lot of things. But she said that twin flames are like you have that push pull, right? And then you come together, then you have a life purpose together. You have something to teach the world and something to grow. And like it's hard because you bring each other you're total opposites, right? So I was thinking because you and him, your husband, do the life path work together, like the singing and the traveling. Oh, Kitty, the singing and the traveling and like helping heal people. I just thought that was like your life purpose. And then whereas a soulmate is like all your friends and your family and like you're my soulmate, Andrea, and all the women in this group are my soulmates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, sorry, but if you go to Zonus Music and you watch Andrea and her husband, that's totally Nirvana. Like it's meant to be. Like you gotta go to Zonus. Like I love that stuff. And you go to Zonus Music and you watch them, and there's your answer. Meant to be.
I feel very fated to be with my husband. Absolutely. I think what it is that I have challenges with the idea of a soulmate because it's talking about only one person that you can be with. And like I find that that's like really limiting, especially for like people that believe that they're with their twin flame and then they divorce and then they're absolutely hopeless or that have that feeling of hopelessness because they're like, so I personally don't subscribe too much to it. But I do feel that that there's people that we are like really like meant to be. And so perhaps it's just about language and terminology, right? Is that that comes forward because like we can all like use different language to describe things. But yeah, I just like, that's my whole thing with like the twin flame thing is that it's so limiting. There's only one person. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can be happy with like, with a number of people and like, and what if you like miss out on your twin flame or your twin flame dies, right? Are you like destined to be lonely? Like, I don't know. It's just too limiting. That's all.
Well, that's when you have soulmates. That's when you have soulmates that are just as good, just as good a connection. But I digress.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's another workshop.
Yeah, for sure. And like everybody has a different take on things, right? And again, there's no right or wrong. If like, one idea like really resonates with you, go for it and run with it. Like, just because I think a certain way doesn't mean you have to think that way, right? Spirituality is all about discovering what's within you. And like, so that's the thing, is that you just have to find like what's right. That's discernment, like, because like, if we were all just like, like sheep and following along, like that's like Christianity. And so it's like, and like there's so much truth in religion, and it's just when you put religion with people together that it's just control, right? And like you just be yourself, just like find what's right for you, because that's what your truth is.
Yes.
Yeah, religion and faith are two different things, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Because all of them prescribe to having this like spiritual experience, right? And so like, like that's what happens. Like if you go to church and you're with a big group of people and you're all like singing and you're like praying and praising, like, yeah, you have a spiritual experience, right? But you can also go to a concert with like, hundreds of people and just be like cheering and dancing and like have a spiritual experience, right?
Yes, that's right.
So that's all it is that like, it's just understanding that we're connected. And like, the choice or the medium of that connection, that's absolutely up to you. And that's what I love about tarot, is that like, tarot, it just like, it just presents you with options. It presents you with choices. It presents you with ideas to be able to think about in relationship to what's going on. But ultimately, you are in charge. And if you try to use tarot cards to like make decisions for you, it won't work. Trust me, I've tried. It'll give you insight, but it won't make the decisions for you. And that's something as a reader that's like I really try to hold to as well. Unless like, it's just like so obvious and they've actually already made the decision. But I won't make decisions for people. If somebody's having like, a big like question about like, what should I do? It's like, well, let's explore what both of these paths look like and let's figure it out from there. Because like if you take away somebody's power to make a decision, that's not right. That's like, that's religion, right? We're here about like, empowering each other to be able to find our truth, to be able to make those choices by just like taking a look at those options. And that's the cool thing with tarot, is that you can look at both paths. But like ultimately, I really believe no matter what path you choose, is that it's always going to lead back together for you to find your destiny in the end. And so in that way, there's really no wrong choices. It's just like we're just kind of choosing how to get there.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Well, I think we shall call it a day. My cat obviously needs attention because I haven't been giving him enough attention all day. But yeah, and if you guys do have like questions that come up like throughout the week, or anything else that comes up that you need to talk with me about, please know that I'm here, okay? So that like I'm happy to answer your questions, and if this brings up stuff, like let's talk about it. And if you love my teaching, let me know. If there's points that I need to improve on, please let me know. I really want to get better. I really want to grow. So
No, you've done well. You've done very well.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Yeah.
At the end, you were going like on kind of like a rant there, like I was, about the tarot cards. And I was like, preach, girl, preach.
Elizabeth, you need to take that rant and you need to put it online. And like, you need to make a video about that, because I think it's going to be hilarious. That could go viral.
The police one?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. And like, like get the music in the background and everything, like,
I wish I knew what was playing, because it was loud as fuck? Like, oh. I was like, no, you get out. I'm not turning my music down. You get out.
Make sure it's the whole story, eh?
Absolutely.
Nothing but the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
I don't know how much I'll see you.
That was great. Thank you. You're a
Mhm.
great teacher.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was great to meet everyone. Maybe I'll see you. I don't know if I'll be doing anything until the fall because my running season has started and I have to train now.
Ah,
Plus farm hours are longer.
yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
Speaking of which, I have to go lock up my chickens and feed my horses and medicate my sick mare. So
Oh,
Busy farm.
Can you indulge me
Very,
a minute?
very.
And Elizabeth too? Elizabeth?
Sure.
Aw.
That was my last, that was my last fall.
Oh, nice.
well, my sick mare, my sick mare is actually supposed to have a foal, and she has been going through, she has a bone infection. So she started out with an abscess that turned to a bone infection, and they did surgery and they did drugs and they thought it could clear up, but it never did. And so they have been wanting to, the vet has been saying that we have to put her down for like the past, since like, well, in the fall and then in January, because the infection has started to erode her coffin bone and is almost in the joint. When she gets to the joint, she won't be able to stand anymore. So it's in a front foot. So this mare, sorry, my dog is going to be annoying because she knows I'm going to the barn. has been so strong and has been fighting this all like the whole time. And so myself and the other groom and the owner, we have been like she's still fighting and she still has the will to live, and we have to give her the chance to decide. And when the pain and suffering overtakes the will to live, then it's time to let her go. But this mare is determined to have this baby. She's determined to bring this baby into the world. And if you saw her outside, like her coat is shiny and bright, her eyes are bright, and she just has this incredible, powerful will to live. And if you saw her look at her stomach and check on her baby all the time. So she's like a miracle. Like the vet has just like, he basically was like, I can't even, like, this is not supposed to happen. She was scheduled to be put down in mid-January. He said, look where the infections got to, because we ultrasounded, and said, but they didn't put her down because they would prefer to have her cremated, and the crematorium is on the mainland, and it was closed. And it was closed in February and closed till the 1st of March. So we were like, okay, well, if we can hold on to her till the crematorium's open, but it was never open. So we just kept on going and going with her. And now we have, the foal will be viable if it's born April 23rd. Then it will be okay. She's due May the 7th, but we have to get to April 23rd. So we are just every day, we're like, okay, we made it another day, but now we're like this close. And
How do you control the pain?
she's on Butte right now. We have had her on Banamine, and so this foot is like unwrapped and flushed every single day, and we treat like Jessica and I probably spend an hour a day just on the foot, and then we massage her hind end because her hind quarters are so weak. And we've arranged everything so she has a grass area out front, and she goes out in that every single day. If it wasn't for the grass and the weather, her having moved to this barn the 1st of November, we put her on, I got them at the beginning, we put her on medicinal mushrooms that I use, and it made an incredible difference to begin with. So we've got her on that. So Jessica and I take like all our extra time and all our care, and we just like focus on the mare. And that baby, I have such a strong connection to it already. Like, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Have you done like the laying of hands on her?
Well, you know what's funny is the vet came out 2 weeks ago and he was here for something else, and he checked on the mare because with everything she has going on with this infection, which you can equate to an extremely slow growing flesh eating disease, is where you go with it, where you can't cure it. They can't stop it. And so he was here for like, I guess I wasn't at the barn at the time, and he was here for like over half an hour, I guess. Well, he was here, but he spent like half an hour with the horse, and he told Jessica that he couldn't get any movement, he couldn't get any sound, and he was quite concerned that the foal was dead, and that we should do an ultrasound to see if the foal was viable, if anything was going on, because he didn't think, like he said, within the week or two. And so this is what happened. So when I went out to the barn later that afternoon, I was like, what do you mean? Like, that foal was alive a week ago, because I didn't check her every day, right? So I went out to the field and I was like, just give me a minute. So I did my little thing and I made my connection to the baby, because I can just talk to her and talk to the guy. I just know it's got to be a girl. So, and within like less than 30 seconds, she was moving and kicking, and Jessica was there so she could see it. And I put her hands on to show where it was, and you could tell it was actually the baby moving. And she's like, how did you do that? And I was like, it's just magic.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the laying, don't even have to touch it, but just having the energy just on the leg.
There's actually, I've tried everything. There's nothing that will stop this. Like, this is her journey.
Yeah, it's her journey, but what it'll do is it'll help ease, and it'll help her through to the, like when we lay hands, when somebody or an animal is not well, when we do that, it does not mean that we heal them. It just means that we we help them carry through. And because I've done that with, the dogs sit at my feet and everything else, but that's what we would do. So I see it with her when you talk about her, I don't know, I guess I'm sending her energy now. I find a connection with her. I don't know if that is because I feel it. And I just feel that it's just to help her, ease her, to keep her less pain and whatnot, so that she can find strength to carry her through. Because you say she's determined. So that's what I mean by the laying of the hand.
Well, it's probably what we're doing every day. And
it's important. Yeah.
She's the one who does that part of the leg care. She does that leg care. But
it just gives her the support. That's all it does.
Yeah. And what was funny about the baby moving, right? I'm like, I don't know what Tino's talking about, but she's fine, right? So then he came out to the barn. He had to come here 2 days later about something else, right? Yeah. We did our thing, and then I was like, oh, by the way, that baby is perfectly fine. And he was like, what? And I was like, out there in the afternoon, and I said, I had just put her hands on it. She could visually see. I said, that baby, I had it awake in like 30 seconds, and just looked at me, and he was like, what kind of voodoo witchcraft are you doing now?
I know a lot of horse people, and there's a lot of energy magic that happens in those communities for sure.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special, and I'm just like it is what it's her decision. It's her. Yes. I don't know, right? I just know that but yeah. So we're just, like I said, still day by day, but in 3 weeks we're gonna prep everything that we need to prep, and then.
Yep.
But nope.
It'll keep her strong for that.
It was so funny for Tino to be like, for him to the vet to be like, what are you doing? And I can wake the baby up. I did it with just distance, with just energy. Right?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yep. She was like, yep.
Energy just travels through the waves.
Yeah, and I just feel a really strong connection to this baby. So I checked on her and woke her up, and Jess was with me on the other side of the stall, and she could see her kicking and moving. And then Florine, the mother, put her ears back, and she's like, well, what'd you do that for? Like, I'm
Yeah, I was having a peaceful time. Just got it to sleep, you know.
I might try and see about the next workshop, but my first race is I mean, they're all virtual, but the first one's the end of April. So I've got get ready.
Well, thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you so much.
And thank you everybody for coming tonight. And I wish you guys so much love. And I hope to see you guys again in April. And if not, I'm around if you need me, okay?
Okay, peace.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.